Beep, 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 beep. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. This is our morning get together live here on Facebook. Microphone up. There you go. Live here on Facebook, where we take a look at headlines. And today's headlines are juicy in every way. Oh, my goodness. Today, the headlines are important and fun and juicy. We also take a look at your comments, your ideas, your questions, your suggestions on how to best connect with each other and with our city, Puerto Vallarta, as a community of English-speaking locals. If this is something that you think you would enjoy, you've come to the right place. Today is Friday, July 29th. It is payday, I saw somebody say. And of course, it is a great day to welcome anyone that is joining us for the first time, to let us know that you are new. You can do that by writing the word new in your comment, and that way we'll give you a nice welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, no, we don't have YouTube commenting. But we love you. We love you anyway. We love the fact that you tune in later on in the day and you watch the broadcast, and we appreciate your thumbs up and we appreciate your following our channel. And what else do? We also ask that if you have something truly important to say, please add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment so that we can talk about it during the comment section at the end of the broadcast. Let's go. Good news for starters. Well, we have a bunch of good news. Governor Alfaro is back in town today to inaugurate a new public health lab at the Roberto Mendiola Horta Clinic in El Remance. In addition, he will be overseeing progress along Highway 200 around Conchas Chinas. I didn't know that there was work being done there, but this is good to hear. And he's also launching a new program of maritime connectivity, whatever that means, and the announcement of the reconstruction of the dock, or the pier rather, at Boca de Tomatlan. We've recently mentioned a few times how the Boca pier is no longer safe to use, so this is all very good news. I have more good news here. It wasn't even a month ago that we mentioned how there are some shops at local municipal markets that are never open for business or have not opened for a long time. And this is unfortunate because they could be used by people who really want to benefit from them and run them accordingly. So in order to put these shops to good use, the city's Commission on Tourism and Economic Development has approved to invalidate 4 of these concessions in the Ixtapa and the Cinco de Diciembre municipal markets. Hopefully, these concessions will not be granted will now be granted to other people that will put them to good use, along with any others that may have defaulted in their obligation. What ends up happening in these cases is people stop paying for their taxes for operating the concessions, and it's a good thing that they are now being removed. Sheila is asking, does everyone have sound? And I am seeing that sound seems to be running out of my system without a problem. So I hope that this is something that is isolated. Moving right along with other news. Once again, the issue of illegal street vendors is making headlines, with city inspectors continuing to make their rounds around Puerto Vallarta's public beaches, the Malecon, and the downtown area. Inspectors usually begin their journeys at 7 o'clock in the morning and continue working until 3 p.m. to ensure that the vendors that are out and about have all the proper documentation at hand. When an illegal vendor is identified, their merchandise is confiscated and a fine must be paid by them in order to recover the merchandise. Sounds unpleasant, but there are people that have fought, well, not fought, but that have rightful claim to their ability to sell stuff out and about. And it is unfair when people come here from other parts of the country just to make a few extra pesos by not providing the opportunity to those that acquire the permit in a fair and lawful way. With all the water shortage taking place in parts of Mexico, it is worth thinking about how all the current real estate development in Puerto Vallarta, along with its increasing need of a sound, fresh water network, are truly important for our well-being in the future. SEAPAL Director Salvador Llamas has announced that at present time, an investment of 3,000 million pesos is required to keep the current network of fresh water and drainage in check. Think about that for a second. I mean, we don't think about water until we open our tap and it doesn't show up, right? So I think it's a good thing that the nice folks at SEAPAL are thinking about our well-being moving forward. So Salvador Llamas presented a proposal to Mayor Michel and the city council to apply for a series of federal loans that would provide the city with enough financial resources to make this happen. And he's made an important quote. What is important here, he affirmed, is that we don't let what is happening in Nuevo León happen in Puerto Vallarta. Now, if you don't remember what's happening in Nuevo León is the northern state where I was born. It's the one state that is suffering most from drought. We recently saw some photographs here at Coffee and Headlines that were published by NASA showing satellite imagery of dams that used to be full of water, and now they're completely empty. Now, we could blame Mother Nature, we could blame ourselves, but there's something to be said about the fact that it is quite likely that the government of Nuevo León did not plan ahead for their water supply infrastructure needs. So it's all good to know that here in Puerto Vallarta we're taking care of this, because there are already water shortages that are starting to show up here in Puerto Vallarta. We have all seen everything that SEAPAL is doing to keep our water pressure at a satisfactory level. Moving right along, I have this one, which is actually a blast. Let us start with the fact that from the very beginning of his administration, and even prior to it, Mexico President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has been a strong advocate for austerity. I mean, he flies commercial airlines. He doesn't use the presidential plane he is so desperately trying to get rid of, and rightly so. It is a money drain for our country. And let us continue by remembering that at present time, there is a considerable number of, there is a considerable number of public service officials, governors, judges, secretaries of federal dependencies, and so forth, whose salary is way higher than the salary perceived by our president. So López Obrador gathered his top-level cabinet yesterday and announced a reform to his austerity law that will prevent, among other things, any government officials from earning a higher salary than the one the president is presently making, and will also curtail some of the pensions, some of the retirement pensions that a lot of these top-level officials retire with are absolutely crazy. And it is worth mentioning that last year, a federal judge who probably makes more money than the president, declared the president's austerity law unconstitutional. This happened last year. So, anyhow, back to the news note. Um, Lopez Obrador gathers his top level cabinet at Palacio Nacional yesterday morning and drops the bomb. And this article by Noticias PB that I'm going to share with the show notes is quite amusing because it breaks down the reaction that several of these top level officials had after the announcement. You know, when reporters were trying to get their microphones close to them and say, well, so what do you think about the budget cuts in your dependency? I'm going to cut to the chase. Most of them just left in a hurry and offered no comment to the press. But if you want names and specifics, they are all mentioned in the article. Our president may get a lot of flack for a lot of things, but, there is something to be said about salaries and excesses in the Mexican government. So it is interesting to see how Lopez Obrador is actually making these things disappear to the best of his ability. May this trend continue moving forward. And let us take a look at the weather. And we know that inflation is happening elsewhere. Our snarky weather says, I'm forecasting a 97.3 likelihood that the Inflation Reduction Act will end up increasing inflation. I'm just quoting. It is 28 degrees right now. Humidity is, I'm going to say it's low because it's only 85%. Feels like 32 degrees. Our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 82. And our weather forecast for today says it's going to rain in the evening and overnight with a high of 30 and a low of 24. And then tomorrow, possible light rain in the evening and overnight with a high of 31 and a low of 24. And Sunday, we wrap up the weekend with rain in the afternoon and in the evening with a high of 30 and a low of 24. Feel free to let me know what you're up to this weekend. And I'll do the same when we get to the comments. Moving right along with other headlines that you may be curious about. Los Arcos de Mismaloya Day was celebrated yesterday morning, as we had previously announced, with a formal ceremony at Los Arcos Amphitheater, where Mayor Michel and a number of local academics and environmental experts gathered. Local biologist and personal friend Roberto Ornelas spoke about how many people are enamored with the rock formation south of Puerto Vallarta, but know very little about the true value that lies beneath, underwater, and the enormous biodiversity that lives there that we must find ways to look after. It is also worth mentioning that on July 28, 1976, that would be 46 years ago yesterday, the area of Los Arcos de Mismaloya was declared a refugee for marine flora and fauna, and the creation of Los Arcos de Mismaloya Day will hopefully pave a path to follow so that that area can be recognized and protected as a natural area at a federal level. Moving right along, we haven't had a lord or a lady for a while, and we have a new one. This is both a lord and a lady. As it turns out, in Mexico City, there is such a road, a beltway called the Periférico, which goes around the city, and it has two levels. The top level is faster than the lower, or I think you can go faster, or only certain vehicles are allowed. But you have to pay to access this top level beltway and use it in Mexico City. You use some kind of prepaid system or a tag attached to your car. Anyhow, these two folk did not have enough money to pay for their access, so the guy just got out of his car and broke the access gate, lifted it so that the woman that was with him could drive the car past it. And when he tried to put the the gate back, needless to say, he had broken it, so it was not usable. This is what we do with lords and ladies. We don't mind shaming them because it's like, you got to be thinking you're nuts because you're going to be identified, and they were, so hopefully they will get to pay some kind of a fine. I happened to find one of these articles from the New York Times featuring classical music that we should be listening to right now in case you enjoy those, I always like to feature them here. Um, if you don't give a rat's bum for classical music, well, feel free to let me know. But I'm still going to feature them here because we can. Um, and now, okay, we have to come to this. This I didn't want to even mention in the pre-show announcement because I didn't want you to think that I was clickbaiting. But there was a 99-year-old grandmother named Catalina Orduña Perez. She passed away recently in the town of Misantla, Veracruz. 99 years old. She was highly esteemed by her family and her community. And here we see a photograph of her family and friends gathering at the cemetery where she was buried. And behind the people, right under the word wish, there is something blurred. And what that is a ginormous penis. Yes, she revered the penis. And she said, in my dying grave, I want a penis to be erected when I go. And as a recognition of her love and joy for life, Doña Cata got her penis. She often uh, used the word penis or verga in Spanish, which is not dinner table word. But he used the word with some sort of colloquial pride whenever she referred to members of her family. Um, and she referred to them as vergas, according to her grandson, because she felt that her family had people of moral fortitude with integrity, courage, passion, and at the same time, love and joy. And now that I'm sure you are curious to see what the monument looks like, I'm going to leave you with an article in English that gives us the whole blow by blow and where you can see the actual monument that has been erected at her grave. We hope that this will last, actually, because we don't do this in Mexico. But hey, there's always a first time. And these are the news that I have put together for you today. Let us now take a quick look at your comments to see what everybody is up to. I see a lot of good mornings, and that always makes me happy. It's Friday. It's Friday. I'm so happy for the weekend. Let's see what we have here. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful weekend. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. Dun, 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 dun. More good mornings. Everybody has sound. Yay. Let's see. Happy Friday from Sayulita. Thank you very much, Clay. I haven't been up there for a while. Michael brings up an interesting question. I hear it a lot, but what is 3,000 million pesos? Would that be a 3 billion? I don't have a precise answer for you, Michael, but I do remember that a billion in English or in US terms is not the same amount as a billion in Mexico. Like 1 billion something it's different. I don't know exactly how. I'd have to Google it, but yes, there is a difference in the amount that it represents. Let's see what else we have. There is another question. Does anyone have any information on how or where to obtain an RFC? That is a great question, Doug. I would imagine that you have to do that with Hacienda, which is the dependency that handles them. The Hacienda building is located right in front of Costco, and I sure hope that you got more specific information from other folk that are not Mexican national, because I know how to get it when you're a Mexican national. I don't know that you are. So I'm going to continue scrolling just to see what's going on. Derek asks, do you know if that 3D gallery is open yet? I actually don't know. I had been in contact with the artist, and we haven't heard from her, nor have I seen when this place is going to open. Let's see. Oh, Michael has a very long explanation for the RFC. Thank you very much for that, Michael. I hope it is useful. Let's see what else. Da 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 da. It's a long weekend in Canada. I wouldn't know what you're celebrating, but I hope you enjoy a long weekend. Meggie, as in Peggy. Um, mm, 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 Do, 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 do. More questions about RFC that are being answered. Michael, thank you so much for being such a good ambassador for RFC questions. Let's see. Ramona says, "How cool is that penis? I would want one. Would want one too." Well, I don't know that I would want a penis in my grave because I don't know that I want to be um, buried. But a penis is a good thing to have in my book. That's all I'm going to say. Um, the penis story is a blow by blow account of the funeral. No, but it is a blow by blow of her relationship with the organ and its significance in her mindset. Relatives apparently say that she was a progressive thinking lady, and I just love it. I just love it. And speaking of love, I love you, but it is time to wrap things up. Unless somebody else has any interesting comments this weekend, of course, it's going to be for crocheting some stuff. It's going to be for going out into town and doing some shopping. It's going to be about gathering with friends. It's going to be about being grateful for life in general and things around us in particular. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you'll stay kind, you'll stay calm, you'll stay healthy, you'll stay friendly, and most importantly, I hope you'll stay in touch. I'll see you again tomorrow, of course, but enjoy the beginning of the weekend.